Welcome along to Moss Lane. Altrincham here with us here on Guiseley AFC Radio. I'm Chris Bell. Alongside me for this one is Nick Keefe. We'll get into this pretty quickly. We are a little bit late getting on due to one or two technical blunders, but we're through that, Nick. We're through that. The game is on. There were some doubts about it a little bit earlier, but pleased to see that we've got a game going ahead. But the pitch is taking a bit of a battering just in the warm-up.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. No, there's doubts about it still now, Chris. Make absolutely no mistake. This pitch isn't in a good state, and we just tweeted out a photo about 5 or 10 minutes ago of where the Guiseley players have been warming up and have left two very dark, muddy tracks in what was the turf. Still heavily raining here, exactly as forecast, it has to be said. Ever since we arrived at the ground, we've been asking what the prospects were for the game. I've certainly been nearby the referee as he's been delivering verdicts to the team managers a couple of times. It says there's not enough out there for him to postpone the game at the moment, so we will start. We'll take it as though it's a real match, and we're going ahead.
Whether it finishes could be a different question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all going to depend, isn't it, on whether what is currently just a heavy drizzle, should we say, it's whether or not that escalates into something far, far worse.
I actually think the main issue will be how quickly the pitch cuts up and loses its top surface. It's been forked and verti-drained all the way throughout, which is great for drainage, but it does help that top surface of the grass to break up. So it's going to be a little bit slippery, and there's not going to be much grass out there by the end of the day. But fingers crossed it goes ahead safely and everything is okay. They're still out there forking the turf on the far side now, where they had big plastic sheeting covers over parts of the pitch. They borrowed some equipment, we understand, from Lancashire County Cricket Club, and they've been out there with the rolling squeegees trying to mop the water up off the covers so that they could remove them. We'll just have to see.
Absolutely. Well, looking at things from a Guiseley perspective, Nick, a disappointing night on Tuesday night against Dover. We heard, it's interesting actually, I heard Louis van Gaal bring Murphy's Law into it regarding the Midtjylland result for them in the Europa League on Thursday. You know, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. I think Mark Barrow could have used that on Tuesday.
Yeah, he could, and as we heard after the game, he was thoroughly fed up with what had transpired.
Makes everything that could go wrong probably did in the end.
Yeah, we were poor really to start the game. We started really sloppily. Gave the ball away too many times, and we were second to everything. Didn't win any headers. You know, they were picking everything up in midfield and getting in. They deserved the goal when they got it. But you know they're a top side. You know, they're fifth in the league. The big Gates had 4-0 on Saturday. They're a very, very good side. So you know you're going to have spells where they're going to be on top, and they were having that. And then obviously the red card happens, and it just really kills the game as a contest. It was very, very difficult for us after that.
What's your view on the card? Looked controversial from where we were.
Just you see that tackle one week and it's not even a free kick. The next week it's a red card. There's absolutely no consistency there. Seems whenever a Guiseley player puts in a tackle like that, he's sent off, and when it happens to a Guiseley player, the same doesn't happen. So disappointed with that. I thought Will came in at speed, but football's played at speed, and if we're going to send players off for tackles like that, for cleanly playing the ball with one leg, just didn't think it were a red card. We'll have to obviously look at it and look to appeal. Maybe Will's just got to think a little bit more. We've seen Gavin Rothery get sent off for next to nothing earlier in the season. You just got to be careful in there. But in the heat of the moment, he went and cleanly won the ball. I can see why he's done it. So we'll look at it and see if we can appeal, because obviously we want Will to be available. It'd be 3 matches if not.
Must have been a very tough half-time team talk down to 10. Obviously they were on top, quite dominant. But if there's any positive into the second half, we seem to acquit ourselves a little better.
Yeah, regardless of what's happened with referees and conditions and everything like that, they were the better side. And when you're not playing well, which we weren't, you can do the ugly side well, and we didn't do the ugly side. We didn't defend well. We didn't win those second balls. We weren't strong or dominant. We weren't clever in when we cleared the balls and getting up the pitch. We did everything wrong in that first half. So I said to them, it's going to be an uphill battle, but you've got to stay in the game. we'll get a chance, something will drop for you, and that one chance will come. Make sure that when it does, we're still at 1-0. And I thought they went out and we played better in the second half with 10 men than we did in the first half with 11, to be fair. Had to be brave and get on the ball a little bit, and obviously you're going to come under pressure, but I thought they pulled the fingers out, so to speak, and put in a better performance in the second half. Worked hard, kept going for us. Obviously the scoreline, can never be happy with that, but it was late on when they got the goals. So some positives to take from the second half, but overall it's a bitterly disappointing night, and a lot of the players in that dressing room need to have a look at themselves and improve for Saturday in what really is a massive game for us.
We also lost Ryan Toulson as well, didn't we, early on in that game? What's the first early prognosis for Ryan?
Yeah, just felt something in his hip. I was feeling unwell as well. He started to feel a bit sick, so it was a little bit worrying at one point. So we'll see how he is. Get the lads in on Thursday training, see how they are. Mill Sinclair was carrying a bit of a knock throughout the game as well. So yeah, patch ourselves up, see how everyone is on Thursday. Obviously, with the likes of Adam Smith, Oliver Norburn coming back into contention as well, it gives us the options to change things. And when you see performances like we got today, that's something that we'll look to do. And yeah, we've put in some good performances recently. You're going to have ups and downs in this league. Tonight was a down, and when you're playing one of the top teams in Dover, if you are playing like that, they'll punish you, and they did. So learn the lessons from it. And look to go again on Thursday in training, get ready for the big game at Altrincham Saturday.
And it is a big game, isn't it? It's a real opportunity to start to put some distance between the teams at the bottom.
Definitely, yeah. It's a big game against one of the teams in and around us. So yeah, we'll go in there with confidence, because we've shown in the last few weeks we can match it with. We've not shown it tonight, but we showed it down at Dover. We can match them. We've seen what a good team they are tonight. So to go down there and get the 2 draws we've done this season shows that we've done well there. Obviously a good performance at Woking, wins earlier on in the year as well. So yeah, it's part of football, especially when we're in the position we are in the league. We're going to lose games, and the main and important thing is that we bounce back from it in the right way and look forward to Saturday.
Well, that was Mark Bauer speaking after the 3-0 defeat on Tuesday night. Alongside me is Nick Sharp, Guiseley's Twitter media man for this afternoon's game. Nick, first things first, trying to reflect really on Tuesday. Where do you start, quite frankly? Because it was one of those, anything that could go wrong, as Mark said, it did.
Well, I think what you have to do is look at the performance in the first 20 minutes before they scored, before the red card incident. We just weren't good enough. We didn't start well at all. We were slow and lethargic, and they just always looked the more dangerous side. They were comfortable throughout. I don't think we ever really caused them any problems. And to be fair, I don't think we could have any complaints with the result, and it could have been more.
And for today's game, what are you hoping for? What are you expecting? We've not gone through the team lineups, we'll go through them in a second, but from what you've seen, what are you expecting with the pitch you're considering?
Well, Altrincham are down there fighting for their lives. They had a terrible result on Tuesday, losing 3-0 at home to Chester, and they'll be looking to bounce back, as we will. But it promises to be a great occasion.
Absolutely. Well, we'll take a look through the 2 team lineups now, starting with Guiseley. They line up as follows. Dan Atkinson starts in goal, then Danny Lowe, Jake Lawler, Danny Boschel, Danny Hall, Liam Dickinson, Nicky Boschel, Emil Sinclair, Rob Atkinson, Adam Smith and James Hurst. On the bench for Guiseley, Ben Parker, Adam Boys, Gavin Rothery, Anthony Dudley, and a welcome return, at least to the bench, for Oliver Norburn. For Altrincham, they line up as follows. Tim Deasy starts in goal, then Jordan Sinnott, Adam Griffin, Gianluca Haven, Mark Holness, Jake Molt, Josh O'Keefe, Ryan Crowther, James Lorry, Josh Ginley and Michael Rankin. On the bench for Altrincham, the ever-prolific Damien Reeves, Johnny Markets, Sam Heathcote, Scott Leather and Callum Williams. So, Nick, it's fair to say a couple of surprises that Mark Bauer has put into that Guiseley lineup.
Well, there's one or two, aren't there? And after Tuesday's game, you heard him in the interview saying he would consider switching things up, and he has done. Adam Smith, obviously returning from injury and illness, have really slowed down his early time at Guiseley. the illness for Stephen Drench. That means he hasn't been able to travel today. Obviously, he's forced Dan Atkinson in, and I know he's been champing at the bit to get a first team appearance. The midfield is going to be a little bit interesting, I think, with Smith and Nicky Boschel as the two wide players. We think maybe a 4-4-2 today, don't we? Because as on Tuesday, starting with Dickinson and Sinclair as the two established strikers.
It's generally the only way that I can see Sinclair and Dickinson fitting in the same side would be just to have both up top.
Yeah, I think that the difference between 4-4-2 and 4-2-3-1 isn't massive actually in this occasion. We will see Danny Boschel and Jake Lawler will play deep. They will sit deep, and they will leave the other four players ahead of them to figure out the vast majority of the attacking moves. It doesn't matter whether Dickinson or Sinclair plays a little bit deeper, and you could call that a number 10 role as opposed to two out-and-out strikers. It probably doesn't make a great big deal of difference what we call that formation.
What impact do you think this surface is going to have for both sides, really? I mean, you know, there was a few questions asked, I think, of the surface at Nethermore on Tuesday night in terms of the length of the grass. At least we had some.
Yes, absolutely. There's not a massive amount out there now, and there'll be an awful lot less in half an hour's time, I think. I don't know, Chris. The main worry is you want a safe game, don't you? And we want everybody who goes out there on the pitch to come off in one piece. Until we see a few challenges go in and a few players running around, we won't know how difficult it is to keep your balance there. But these are the sort of awkward injuries that you can pick up when you slip and you just tweak something in a knee or an ankle or something like that. And we're really hoping to avoid those, and hoping players stay on their feet and don't dive into too many scary challenges.
Well, the referee's just taking the two captains through the usual pre-match rituals. It will be Altrincham who are going to get us underway in their red and white striped home shirt, shooting from right to left in this first half. Guiseley in the all-yellow away kit. We spoke earlier to AD Towers, and he for one said that this is the kind of pitch that he would have loved to have played on.
Yeah, I think AD played a slightly different standard of football to Conference, National League.
So I'll say it is Altrincham who will get us underway. As the referee does finally put the whistle to his lips, and we are underway here at Moss Lane in this Vanarama National League game. A big game for both these sides in their quest to escape the drop. Of course, Altrincham in that fourth position as things stand, in a potentially costly defeat for them on Tuesday night against Chester, another side that's down there. Lee Sint was absolutely furious with that result. Guys, they've got themselves a free kick early on here on the halfway line, which will be taken by Rob Atkinson up to the edge of the 18-yard box. Liam Dickinson will go and look for that as it just drops off his head, but it goes through to the goalkeeper, Tim Deasy.
Yeah, just thinking pitch aside, looking at the lineup, you'd expect a lot of the good work to come for Guiseley down the right today, both Hurst and Smith, quite quick attacking players, as we can see Hurst overlapping Smith already on the right here.
Yeah, here is James Hurst, gets it to the right-hand side, down by the corner flag, looks to pull it across, takes deflection, goes behind for the first corner of the game. It's a bright start from Guiseley. Yeah,
and the other thing Guiseley do have a bit more of than usual in their team today is height, with Lawler back in midfield, Hall and Atkinson getting into the box, Dickinson as well up front. Hurst is a tall player, although he's staying back as a full-back, obviously.
Well, it's going to be Adam Smith to dispatch this corner, right-footed, out-swinging up to the edge of the 6-yard box, headed down. I think came off an Altrincham head, and it's cleared with the second attempt. Sent down this left-hand flank. Now the ball at the feet of Guiseley goes down. James Hurst is judged by the referee to have given him a little nudge in the back. To be fair, this isn't really a pitch that you want to be falling down on unless you can absolutely avoid it.
No, and Guiseley went gloves down into the mud there and lifted his hands out and looked at them as though to say...
He's still looking, regretting that significantly.
Yeah. All as Danny Lowe said when he went out to warm up earlier with his white socks on, he said, "My nan's going to have a job cleaning these tonight."
Now Dickinson, which knocks the ball back over to that left-hand side, finds Danny Lowe. Turns the ball forward a little bit too much on that though, and no real accuracy as it just goes through to the Altrincham keeper. It's going to be interesting actually to see how Danny Lowe copes, because he's playing in that in the first half on that left-hand channel, which is the strip of pitch that was covered, the worst area is what was perceived to be anyway, but now, with them covers being on, it's very much the best area, I think, of the surface.
Well, apparently, although it's quite gooey, it was already wet when it was covered up, so although it looks a little bit greener than the rest of the surface, I don't think it's necessarily that great underfoot. But Danny will have played on worse pitches than this before, and he's an experienced old head. There are a few in the Guiseley team out there, and hopefully they'll know how to set about this.
Here's Holness, former Rochdale centre half, looks to get the ball forward, cut out well by Nicky Boschel. The ball picked up again by Altrincham though, over on that right hand side. Is the ball looking to find either Rankin or Crowther? In the end it finds neither. Of course, Michael Rankin, cliche bingo cards at the ready. He is probably the biggest big unit we'll play this season actually. He's an absolute man mountain. Very much the target man. Altrincham in possession, making way through this Guiseley half. The ball now at the feet of Rankin, over on the left-hand side of the 18-yard box. Gets behind the fullback, James Hurst. The ball now with Smith, still down by this left-hand side. It's cleared away. A poor clearance though, only as far as Griffin. Griffin now, left-footed, delivers the cross up to the back post. Just a little bit too high to get onto the head of Ryan Crowther, and it goes out of play on that far side for a Guiseley throw.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chris. Rankin's a big boy, isn't he? He doesn't look like he's got a lot of pace.
Ball goes down that left-hand side now for Guiseley from the throw. They've got themselves another, which Nicky Boschel thought about taking quickly. Opted against it, turns back, gives it to Lowe. He moves that infield. Here's Rob Atkinson. Cross now to James Hurst. 4.5 minutes gone. Goalless here at Moss Lane. The ball is sent forward from Hurst, looking to find Sinclair. Wasn't a bad ball actually. Just didn't quite have the pace there to get on the end of it, Emile Sinclair.
And one of the good things at the moment is the ball's still rolling fairly well on the surface. Certainly the surface that hasn't already cut up. As we just watched James Hurst slide a knee and take an entire strip of grass out as he kicks the ball out of play. That was quite something, wasn't it? But,
yeah, I get the feeling that this is what AD was talking about, I think, as regards to sliding challenges.
Sure. Yes, he would have enjoyed that in his youth, would AD. But there's a lot at stake for these teams here today, and they don't want to have the safety angle playing on their minds.
Well, Rankin just loses out, ends up conceding a free kick, much to the home fans' displeasure.
Well, he just bulldozed Danny Boschel. He didn't even make a challenge. He just ran through the space where Danny Boschel was standing and took Danny with him.
Yeah, it was one of the more obvious pushes in the back.
Well, I'm not even sure he pushed him. I think he just ran through him, and it's a bit of a physical mismatch.
To be fair, I imagine Michael Rankin could run through things like walls.
That's quite, yeah, absolutely.
The ball now at the feet of Daniel Lowe. Looks to get it forward. It's been picked up though by Altrincham. Over on that right-hand side. Ball played up to Rankin, who chests it, takes a nice second touch, but is then challenged. The ball goes out of play off a Guiseley man for an Altrincham throw.
No, we haven't talked about any of the previous visits here so far today, Chris, and long may that continue. But I don't remember what the weather was like on that playoff final day.
It was a nice day,
but
I
imagine that this is what it looked like. You know, in the idea of pathetic fallacy from Shakespeare, where the weather matches the mood. It is grey, it is dark, and it is belting it down, and it's exactly how you should feel when you're losing a playoff final.
When Emile Sinclair has just burst forward through the rain. Finds Smith. Smith does deliver the cross. A little bit too deep. Wasn't dealt with confidently, though, by Jordan Sinnott. It's been hooked out of play for a throw-in on that far side. Yeah, if I remember rightly, it was a little bit damp to start with, but I'm fairly sure by the end of it the sun was very much shining on Altrincham, from their perspective at least.
Yeah, I guess if you look at it like that. I just remember struggling to breathe that day. I remember being quite red in the face and not really knowing why.
Well, Guiseley still in possession, deep inside the Altrincham half. Lawler plays the ball infield, finds Sinclair. Sinclair now to Boschel. Boschel looked to get the shot away, blocked. Cleared away by Altrincham on the half volley, only as far as Danny Hall. Hall now finds Sinclair, almost loses his footing. Or maybe he meant that as a dummy. Either way, he still has possession. As do Guiseley now with the ball back to Lawler.
I don't think he meant it as a dummy, but it worked quite well.
He was just stumbling and falling gradually, wasn't he? And eventually stopped himself.
Yeah.
Made it look like he meant it, if nothing else. Now Danny Hall just knocks the ball back to Dan Atkinson, who's in for a rather unwell Stephen Drench. I think you were saying earlier, wasn't it? He was rather ill at training on Thursday.
Yeah, there was apparently a stomach bug, and decision was made ahead of time to give Dan Atkinson, I think, enough time to prepare mentally to know he was in. As we just watched Nicky Boschel go in with a slightly tasty challenge from behind.
Yeah, the play continues as Altrincham looks to come forward down his left-hand side. The ball at the feet of Josh Guiseley. Still with the ball at his feet, turns back. Ball back now with James Lorry. Lorry goes for goal, blocked by a couple of players. Breaks nicely for Guiseley as Liam Dickinson looks to lift it forward, looking for Emil Sinclair to do some chasing, but to be fair to Sinclair, that ended up good 5 or 10 yards further forward than he would have wanted it.
James Lorry is a name I associate with another one of our recent painful visits here, because very, very early on in Mark Bauer's time in charge, we came over here just when things were really starting to show the problems and the deficiencies in the playing squad that we had at that point. James Lorry came on, I think, at half time in that game, and tore into our defence in the second half. The other name I mostly associate with that day was Matt Clark, and he didn't make too many appearances. I think it was a road too far for him at the end of his career, was that little cameo he had with Guiseley, and that didn't work out too well. And I know after that day, Mark had a bit of time to change a few players, and he's not looked back since. Guiseley
delivers a good ball into the area. Dan Atkinson's not confident with it. It's just about scrambled away by Danny Hall, who got a left leg on it just as an Altrincham player was bearing down to what would have been tapping into an empty net. Great defensive work from Danny Hall. Right place, right time. But Dan Atkinson then, maybe a little bit rusty from a lack of game time, but it was a wicked ball in. Neither defence nor goalkeeper really dealt with it. And in the end, Guiseley perhaps a combination of a little bit of luck and a little bit of great defending from Danny Hall eventually to get it away.
Yeah, I don't know about rusty, but just a little bit timid, and that's not something you don't start confident as a young goalkeeper. That's something you gain with experience.
Now Boschel plays a great ball to the left-hand side, finds Emil Sinclair on the edge of the Altrincham penalty area, goes for goal. He's surely going to thought he was going to try and claim deflection, but in the end he didn't even bother. It was just a pretty wayward shot.
Yeah, took his time, leaned back and aimed for the skies.
Very much leant back. Tried to open his body up, and as I say, I think if that was me, I'd have desperately tried to claim some form of deflection on that, just to make myself look not quite so bad.
I mean, the guy's wearing pink boots, so you assume he's self-confident in a way that doesn't need such excuses.
A goal kick now for Altrincham, sent downfield. Danny Boschel does well, wins possession back in the centre circle. Ball returned to Boschel, now with Adam Smith on this right-hand side up against Griffin. Looks to go around him, does well. Takes it to the byline, gets the cross back. Almost looks like it's dropping inside that far post. Drops just wide of it and behind for a goal kick. But again, on that incident, it was Tim Deasy looking not entirely confident about where that was going to drop.
Yeah, he had the keeper backpedaling there, Smith, and Deasy was struggling to get back to the far corner of his goal. Somebody arriving late at the very back post just at that split second would have been able to stab that home for Guiseley, but the pace of Smith meant that he was slightly ahead of everyone else in the move.
Well, it's what are we, just short of 12 minutes gone, relatively end to end.
That's been a perfectly good start to the game. Some reasonable football being played. Certainly neither team playing long ball at the moment,
which, let's be honest, with the surface the way it is, you wouldn't blame either side for trying. It's not a surface that you would think.
Well, both teams have a big, strong target man to aim for if they choose to do a bit of that during the game. Dickinson for Guiseley, of course, and Rankin for Altrincham.
To be fair, you could probably put Emil Sinclair into that as well, because he's fairly tall himself and he's fairly strong. He's not necessarily got the movement, perhaps.
It's hard to tell, isn't it? He wasn't moving easily on Tuesday when we saw him play.
James Hurst just misjudged the ball, and now Altrincham looks to come forward again. Here's Josh Chinley, goes for goal. Really good effort from Chinley, but parried away well by Dan Atkinson. Guiseley in possession, down low, looks to lift it forward. He's just lifted it too far ahead of Nicky Boschel, and now Altrincham can come back down that right-hand side as they're attacking. Ball goes out of play on that far side for a throw.
Yeah, weak clearance, but really good defending by Danny Hall to knock it out of play for a throw-in. And Danny Lowe again trying to clear it, only as far as the throw-in again.
Good save as well from Dan Atkinson from the effort a moment or two ago from Josh Chinley.
It's a commentary cliche, isn't it? But that will have done good things for his confidence to get his first proper save of the game.
Throw-in taken by Altrincham, finds James Lorry. He delivers the ball into the box, cleared away by Guiseley, picked up again by Lorry. Now Haven. Now with the ball over on that right-hand side with Sinnott, crosses it into the box, looking to find the target man of Rankin. Hurst gets that away and sends it downfield. Marcus Holness just nods that down. Now Griffin, the ball midway inside the Altrincham half, played forward to Josh Chinley on this left-hand side. Again, this is going to be a really good battle, you feel, over the course of the afternoon between the Altrincham number 15 and James Hurst. The ball shepherded out of play.
Yeah,
well by Hurst for a goal kick.
Well, that was a really good piece of defending by James. He had the pace to catch up with the player and the strength to sort of hold him off as the ball. Basically, Guiseley had taken a slightly heavy touch, and Hurst was quick enough to get in there in the space between the player and the ball and shepherd it out.
Now with Emil Sinclair, the ball played to Smith on this right side. He's going to look to go around the outside again, but it's a great standing challenge from Adam Griffin, the left back for the home side. Plays it down the line, finds Michael Rankin, who's judged offside. It was close, but I think it's the right decision by the man with the flag on that far side.
Good run that by Rankin. He slipped his marker. He was in a gap between Rob Atkinson, the right of the central defenders, and James Hurst at the right back position. So nobody was marking him, and only the timing of the run reprieved Guiseley there.
Don't forget, you can get in touch with us on Twitter this afternoon. @Guiseley Radio is the Twitter handle to do so. Let us know your thoughts and views on today's game, on the coverage, on the season in general. There's a poor pass from Nicky Boschel. It's just cut out by Chinley. Only goes out of play on this near side, much to Guiseley's relief, which James Hurst will pick up to take this throw in. Throwing goes long, headed away by Griffin. Back to Hurst. He just nods it on again, looking for Sinclair this time. Griffin gets a good touch on it. Now Hornus. He's been caught out though, and Smith can look to come down this right hand side. Here's Adam Smith, cuts back in field, up against Marcus Hornus. Uses a couple of step overs, gets the ball across towards the back stick, where Danny Boschel has the ball. Just inside the 18-yard box now, forced back out. Finds Danny Lowe. Lowe gets the cross in. Dickinson and Sinclair. Nicky Boschel, I think, we're all in there. But it has been cleared away by Altrincham. Now Danny Hall has to knock it back to Dan Atkinson. I think after the third Altrincham goal for them last Saturday, Altrincham fans will be expecting visiting goalkeepers to put the foot through it, quite frankly, after Paul Farman's error for Lincoln last week.
He didn't get a lot of distance on that clearance, young Atkinson, and it just put Jake Lawler under a bit of pressure. Josh O'Keefe came through him heavily from behind, and fortunately it went Guiseley's way with the free kick.
Now Guiseley down the other end. Good work from Sinclair. Plays back to Lowe. Here's Sinclair again. Delivers a good cross into the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away by Altrincham. Boschel. Now Sinclair. Goes back to Danny Hall. Now Atkinson sends it over to this right-hand side, where Hurst has got forward, looks to link up with Adam Smith. Does send the ball back to Smith as he was stumbling and falling. Ball played forward though from Smith, in between Dickinson and James Hurst. Just too much on it through to the Alty goalkeeper. Nice
work again down the Guiseley right. I do think that's where they're going to get the most joy, because Hurst and Smith are so attacking minded and tall, quick, strong players.
Now Altrincham get a shot off, dragged wide Wasn't really troubling Dan Atkinson there. The effort from distance.
No, and it's not going to be easy making these clearances for either goalkeeper, because with the turf so wet and so soft underfoot, it's hard to plant your standing foot in order to get a confident swing with your kicking leg. And just watched Josh Guiseley. He's given up on his gloves, Chris. They've just been ripped off and thrown into the home dugout.
I'm not entirely surprised. Well, free kick goes in Altringham's favour, midway inside their half. It was a foul on Ryan Crowther. So Altrincham with a good opportunity to get one or two red and white shirts forward.
Yeah, just didn't time that quite right, Danny Lowe. And this could be dangerous now. A lot of bodies on the edge of the Guiseley box.
Well, it's going to be the Altrincham gaffer's son, Jordan Sinnott, to take this free kick for the home side. There's 4 or 5 red and white shirts on the edge of the 18-yard box, and amongst 7 yellow shirts, 7 or 8 yellow shirts. Just a 2-man wall, which is Nicky Bosch and Emil Sinclair. The ball played in by Sinnott up towards Rankin. The flag on the far side goes up for offside. Rankin just to be in an offside position when the free kick was taken.
Yeah, that's inexcusable, isn't it, really, at any level? You can't be offside from a free kick.
Well, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be offside.
Well, that's what I meant.
But in this situation, Michael Rankin was.
Dear, oh dear. There's some muddy-looking players out there.
And the rain continues to fall here in Altrincham. This ball played forward. Marcus Horness drags down Liam Dickinson.
One or two suspiciously clean-looking players. Emil Sinclair looks like he's walked straight out of a washing machine.
I think, to be fair, Liam Dickinson would also go into that category up until the point where he's just felled by Marcus Horner.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we've got a free kick now for Guiseley, slightly to the right of the 18-yard box, midway inside the half. Nicky Boschel delivers this, left-footed up towards the back post. Tim Deasy gets his legs to it to get it away. Has been cleared at the second attempt fully by Altrincham. Dying low now looks to switch the ball over to this right-hand side to Boschel. Headed down and away by Altrincham, only out as far as Smith. Smith, though, goes for goal, takes deflection, and it was needed to be tipped round the base of the post by Tim Deasy. It was creeping in. That's a really good save from the Altrincham stopper.
Yeah, nearest chance of the game so far for Guiseley. And it shows how it can come out of anything and at any time. Corner now. Again, the box is full of players. Danny Boschel coming to offer the short option, but the box heavily loaded with yellow shirts.
Ball comes in, headed away by Altrincham. Picked up, though, by James Hurst. On the left-hand side of the 18-yard box. Being forced out, plays a good ball, though, across to Smith. Now Smith, couple of step-overs on the edge of the 18-yard box, lays it back. Emil Sinclair looks to get the shot off, blocked by Jake Mull. The Altrincham captain nodded back in towards the Altrincham 18-yard box by James Hurst. Eventually it's cleared away. Only out as far, though, as Josh Guiseley on that far side. The free kick goes in Altringham's favour. The Guiseley fans that have made the trip across aren't happy with that one on the far side.
They're not, and even with headphones on, we can hear them making themselves heard. Good number of them under the terrace, under the roof over there. Only a few hardy souls in the Carroll Nash and family terrace.
Five hardy souls.
Yeah.
You can't blame them.
5 nutters. Even I wouldn't in this weather. And I live, if I'm not on commentary, I live on the 6-yard line, on the edge of the 6-yard box, just outside the right-hand post. And I would not be there today. Absolutely no way. So well done to those 5 idiots. And the 100 or so underneath the cover on the far side of the ground.
Free kick taken by Deasy, played forward, drops now for Rankin on the edge of the 18-yard box. Cross comes in from him. Dan Atkinson does well to come out and collect that. But as you say, you've got to give a big credit, to be fair, to Guiseley in general with the away travel this season. They've supported the numbers for the entirety of the season so far.
Well, particularly in the last couple of months where there's been no home games to go to. I think everyone was thoroughly fed up of travelling, but there's been good turnouts.
Here's Sinclair. Plays the ball now to Smith on this right-hand side. He's had a relatively good start on his return from illness. Now Smith, he's got Hurst in support. He doesn't go to use him. I think Hurst will be a little bit frustrated with that as he tries a couple more step overs instead. Wins his side of throwing. But I think if I were James Hurst, I'd be very disappointed with that because Hurst was 7 or 8 yards away, but in acres of space and in a really good position to get a crossing.
Well, I wonder if Hurst was invisible there because no one in a red and white shirt was going to mark him either. So maybe we were all seeing something no one down there was.
Here is James Hurst. He gets the ball back to him after taking the throw and gets the crossing, headed behind by an Altrincham man for another Guiseley corner.
Yeah, important head that by Holness. There's a Guiseley striker lurking, ready to head that home if he hadn't made the intervention. Another corner over the far side in front of the Guiseley fans, taken left-footed by Nicky Boschel.
It is Nicky Boschel, delivers it. Rob Atkinson throws himself at it. It was also aimed towards Danny Hall. Altrincham clear it, and then Danny Boschel's pass out to this right side. Too much on it, out of play.
Dave Kendra has been in touch on Guiseley AFC Radio's Twitter account. You can do too, at Guiseley Radio. He says he can assure me it was definitely raining on the day of the playoff final, all day and all the way home as well. He's absolutely certain that it was awful that day. It's directly contradicted by people here in the ground, but there you go.
Now Altrincham look to come forward through Jake Mole. Now the ball with Laurie. Good work though from Nicky Boschel to recover possession for Guiseley, but as soon as I say that, it's given away again. Now Laurie, 20 yards out, goes for goal, straight down throat. It's Dan Atkinson. I almost said Stephen Drench then, out of pure habit.
He's done okay so far, Atkinson. He held on to that there. That's important, that you don't give a second chance. The one save he was required to make a little bit more of a stretch. He pushed wide rather than down into the oncoming striker. So he's done what his defenders would have hoped of him so far.
He's done well in this opening 20-something minutes. The ball now with Hurst. Up towards the edge of the box, looking to find Boschel, but it's been cut out by Altrincham. In fact, free kick goes in Altringham's favour against James Hurst. 25 gone. Altrincham 0, Guiseley 0 here at Moss Lane.
Just a quiet word in the ear of Hurst. Referee will need to be pretty strict today because these are the sort of conditions where if a few fouls go unpunished, things could get unfortunate. Brought to mind of the game, I don't think you were around for it, Chris, but way back against Kendall when Anthony Lloyd did that awful knee injury where he did 3 of his 4 knee ligaments, I think, in one go that day. Oh. And the poor guy was lying on the pitch for what must have been 20 minutes plus while we waited for an ambulance to come and move him. And that happened that day because we were on a pitch like this, but because the referee had not been strict earlier on in the game. And in that way that games do, the challenge has just escalated a little bit, and a 50-50 becomes a more dangerous thing. And it was really unfortunate that day. So I'm happy to see the referee has whistled for everything that could be a foul so far, because the safety of the players is far more important than the flowing football, I think.
Well, we've got to give the referee, I think, a lot of credit in general, actually, because, you know, we said, I arrived here about 12:30 and it was starting to come down a little bit heavier than it is now, and you arrived as well. When you arrived with the team, it was fairly heavy. But the referee, we heard him speaking to the manager a couple of times, and to be fair to him, they did everything they could to try and get this on. I think a lesser ref would have arrived at 1:30, walked out there and thought, nah, you know what, lads, pack up, go home.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I didn't walk on the pitch myself, but it didn't look great at that point. But he was keen to give it as long as possible, and the benefit of the doubt as James Hurst tries to decapitate Ben Parker in the Guiseley dugout.
I think it took a deflection, didn't it?
It
took a deflection off an old
yeah,
team
because
man.
it's a Guiseley throw-in. Yeah, fair enough.
The throw-in was taken by Hurst. Cleared away by Altrincham. Backing out as far as Hurst, whose first thought was to get it into the area. Nicky Boschel was down closest to it, but there was too much power on that. It goes out and behind for a goal kick.
Now, at the moment, it does look like the right decision for the game to go ahead. The ball has rolled fine. You can see the players aren't too sure about their footing when they're trying to turn at high speed, but it's not really disrupted the flow of the game too much. You know, both teams are still playing it on the ground. There isn't standing water. It's just about how slippery the top surface is.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be fair, it seems to be a lot to playing better than looking at the pitch would suggest it should. I mean, it is cutting up quite a considerable amount. I mean, you know, as you'll have seen from the picture we posted on Twitter earlier, and as we can see where the Guiseley players were doing the sprints in the warm-up, has left two horrendous streaks basically in the centre of the Guiseley half.
It looks like Tony Robinson's been down here with Time Team excavating it.
But it's actually playing a lot smoother and better as Adam Smith does well, gets around Griffin, ball comes across the back post. Nicky Boschel was trying to throw himself at it. In the end, they've got a corner out of this.
Lovely bit of pace by Adam Smith on the right there. Had a look at the full-back Griffin and then tipped it round him, ran round the outside, got the space to get a really good cross in. Fortunate deflections changed the flight of the ball. No one could really get a proper head to it. Now there's a corner.
Yeah, the corner comes in as well. Up towards the back post this time. Met with the head of Rob Atkinson. Deasy does well, jumping up against Emil Sinclair to get it in his hands. Adam Smith has been a live wire in this opening 29 minutes.
Yeah, and he has a bit to prove, doesn't he?
Well, he's been out the side for what it seems like quite a while, actually.
More or less since we signed him.
Yeah, I think he played 4 or 5 games at the start of his spell. But certainly since Christmas, he's been out of the side. As Altrincham now look to come forward. The ball with Sinnott crossed low into the 6-yard box. Stan Atkinson does well. But in this game in particular, you know, his first start for some time, and it looks like he's playing like he's got a point to prove, isn't he? He's doing everything he can down this right-hand side. If at times he's been a little bit greedy in part when James Hurst's been an option, but he's been really keen as the ball comes across to him now on the edge of the 18-yard box. Heavy touch in field there, though. Drops nicely for Liam Dickinson. Dickinson tries to get himself to the ball. Defender does well, though. Adam Griffin just allows his goalkeeper to come and collect it.
Yeah, really good run there by that man Smith. Picked out well from across the other side of the pitch on the ground. His first touch was just a little bit heavy and gave himself a bit of extra work to do. Nearly broke for Dickinson in the 6-yard box anyway. Not quite.
Well, knocked forward now by Guiseley. Nobody there. Deasy will come out of his area to the right.
And I would have thought when Smith and Hurst arrived at the club, Mark's plan was to play them as they are today, with Hurst at right back and Smith ahead. Obviously injuries and suspensions and other things have led to Hurst playing as a right midfielder or winger a little bit more. But I think you get the best of both worlds when you can play him at right back, because he is a good defender and he does cover the touchline and get forward as well. So why limit him to just one by playing him on the side of midfield?
Well, Ginley up against James Hurst. Cross comes in from the Altrincham man. Again, easy. Dealt with well by Dan Atkinson.
Was it? All I could see was a massive red pillar. I assumed from the lack of crowd reaction that there was a goalkeeper there who'd caught it, but if anyone shoots right down the Dan Atkinson's right hand post,
You're going to struggle to see it.
I will not be able to offer you any analysis.
I'm just hoping that we don't have any corners from this left hand side, because we can't see what happens there either.
No, they've built a brand new building completely obscuring the corner of the pitch since we were last here. Very, very fine looking building and bar inside, though. It's a huge new facility they've got.
To be fair, as you say, it's a fantastic new facility. It's got a bar area. It's also a community. It's also a sports hall as well, part time as well.
Brilliant.
It really is the kind of thing, frankly, that, you know, with planning permission and all that kind of thing, will be excellent to have that multi-purpose facility at Nethermore.
If only it was that simple.
Stupid trees. Just giving us oxygen.
That's no way to speak about the cricket club.
Oh, please write your complaints to Nick Keefe, Guiseley Radio. Nobody else, just Nick.
speak on behalf of absolutely nobody. I genuinely think we were saying earlier that Altrincham had borrowed the Lancashire Cricket Club's covers earlier, and I was saying to some people in the ground, it's good that we've borrowed stuff from our cricket club in the past to get a game on, to get the water off. I think it's fantastic having multiple clubs in a close location. I genuinely do. I think that's great.
Now Sinclair, ball at the feet of Lawler, plays a good ball back into Emil Sinclair. Sinclair running towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Challenge comes in from Gianluca Haven. Now Altrincham look to come forward again. The ball now at the feet of Michael Rankin. Turns back, bit of space. Plays the 1-2. That's the ball back. Still around the halfway line though, as the ball's played back over it to Griffin. Now Crowther look to flick it forward to Rankin. Cleared away by James Hurst.
There's a few scores around today, Chris. I need to remind you, we're only 34 minutes into the afternoon's football. Halifax are already 3-0 up against Grimsby. And Kidderminster are winning 2-0 against Chester.
Well, we were starting to wonder if the comeback was on. They've narrowed the gap to 7 points? And that was before today's game.
Boreham Wood and Torquays 0-0. Bromley are 2-1 up already against Woking. Forest Green and Eastleigh are 0-0. Gateshead have just equalised at home to Aldershot just in the last minute or so. And Lincoln City, you'll be pleased to know, are 1-0 up at home to Southport. The only other score, Cheltenham are 1-0 up against Tranmere at Tranmere. Although, as I say that, just another score, Flash Wrexham are 1-0 up away to Welling. So
I was just thinking,
only
actually,
2 goalless games so far.
In terms of the sides around us, Adam Griffin, by the way, is down at the moment, so both sets of players have come across to have a word with the coaching staff and take on a drink. I'm going to see a substitute for Altrincham.
Yeah, Scott Leather's coming on, I think.
It certainly seems to be the case. In terms of the games, though, that are around us, the sides around us, Welling losing. I think Boreham Wood and Torquay 0-0 was that. And with Kidderminster winning, though, it just shows what 3 points here. We wanted it to be for Guiseley, but let's be honest, for either of these sides, 3 points would be massive.
Sorry, I've just realised I was nodding. It doesn't make for great radio, that, does it?
Doesn't help me at all, mate, I'll be honest. In terms of the results...
Not that we aspire to great radio.
But it is a change. It is Adam Griffin who's going off, and he's been replaced by Scott Leather after 35 minutes.
He'd had a good start to the game, Griffin. I'm sorry for him that he's not made it to half-time.
It wasn't he? He was having a good game. It was a really good battle on Guiseley's attacking right, but Alty's defensive left with Ginley and Griffin up against Hurst and Adam Smith. Leather has just come in at left back. So positionally, a like-for-like change. It's the ball sent forward by Deasy. Flicked on well by Sinclair. Was Guiseley won the second ball, but it's gone back to Deasy again. Sent forward, scuffed slightly, and misheaded there by Jordan Sinnott. Out of play the ball goes for a throw-in for Guiseley. Down low will come forward to take this one. Now the ball into Sinclair. Now Lawler sends it back to Boschel. Boschel lifts it across, finds Hurst. Hurst takes a touch, plays it forward to Smith. Back to Hurst again. Good passing play between the two right-sided players. Great ball from Sinclair. Finds down low, down by the byline. Looks to pull it back. Now Smith takes a touch. Been forced out wide though. Now gets the cross in, left-footed, looking for Dickinson. Dickinson's there. It drops kindly for Boschel. It was blocked and behind for a Guiseley corner. Another really good opportunity though for Guiseley. And Nicky Boschel almost, but blocked.
Good sequence of play by Guiseley that time. A little bit too much depth on the cross from Danny Lowe. Came to Smith at the back, who was turned away from goal and showed that he could use his left foot with a really good cross going in.
Now the cross comes in from the corner, hit on the volley by Adam Smith. Wasn't too pacey though, easy for Deasy to deal with in the end, but it would have been spectacular if he'd have got more pace and power on that.
Yeah, it would have been, and it would have been great if Nicky Boschel could have tucked away that one that was put behind for the corner. In truth, there wasn't just an Altrincham man in front of him. There was also the falling form of Liam Dickinson, who was coming down from trying to head a previous rebound.
Love that, the falling form of Liam Dickinson.
Try and kick a ball through that.
That's physically falling form rather than, playing.
Yes. Descending to earth. What I'm saying is there were two bodies in the way between the ball and the net.
Cheers for clearing that up,
and that's not counting the goalkeeper.
Ball sent forward now.
So 3. if you're struggling to keep up.
Either way, it didn't go in. And Altrincham are in possession on the halfway line to get the ball forward.
Colin's furious at my counting lesson.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure Colin was meant to be trapped in a caravan somewhere today and couldn't be here with us. I thought this was why I'm here.
I thought he was camping in Derbyshire. That's why I'm here. I had to catch a lift on the team bus, which, by the way, it turns out is no great difficulty. Is quite pleasant, actually. So, might do that again in the future.
Do I get the feeling, by the way, that we both had to tell our respective other halves we've got to do the game because Colin can't make it?
Right, very much so. I needed the game not to be cancelled, otherwise it was a problematic choice of use of time for a Saturday afternoon when I should have been elsewhere.
Now Smith inside the Guiseley half, sends it back to Danny Lowe. Lowe goes back in field, but he does get caught up on the turf on that far side. Now the ball at the feet of Laurie. Laurie goes down, but the ball picked up well by Crowther. Laurie's back on his feet. Now Rankin to the right of the Guiseley 18-yard box. The ball ricochets out of play off a Guiseley man for a Robbins throw.
Dangerous for Altrincham.
Jordan Sinnott will take the throw in. Finds Laurie, who delivers a really good crossing. Dan Atkinson punched it. Comes as far as Guiseley. Gets the shot off. Blocked. Now it comes out as far as Malt. Cleared by Rob Atkinson. As Dan Atkinson urges his defenders to try and push out at this point. Guiseley. Heavy challenge comes in from Nicky Boschel. The free kick goes in Altringham's favour. I think the referee is going to have a bit of a word with him.
Well, those are exactly the sort of challenges that the referee can't allow to creep into the game. I don't think it was necessarily a yellow card offence. The referee may choose to book him. He absolutely has to stamp down on those, and it does look like he will book him actually, which I'm okay with as well. Those are the sort of challenges the referee can't let creep in, because after a few of those, somebody's going to get hurt on a surface like this.
Well, Nicky Boschel is the first man to go into the referee's book. As you say, I can see why it is a booking, but I think that's his first offence really, so I think he'll feel himself a little hard done by.
But it's late, it's on the floor, he's taken the player and not got the ball. There's every chance you go into a book for that.
Now John Sinnott with the free kick for Altrincham up towards Rankin. Rankin got his head onto it, just puts it goal bound but straight to Dan Atkinson. As we're into the 41st minute. Now Hurst sends the ball down the right. Sinclair will look to give chase, but Hornus knocks it down and gets that away by Leather. Up to Rankin. Rankin gets there ahead of Hurst. Hurst, though, will come out, but Josh Guiseley is just... he's tried to hug him, basically, and he's gone down, and a free kick goes in Guiseley's favour.
Just a case of both teams really wanting not to concede before half-time now. In the last few moments before the break, we will see the board go up in about 2 or 3 minutes' time to let us know how much they'll be added on before half-time. As Colin leaves us to get ahead of the rush for a pie and a coffee, I think.
Yeah, he can't usually do that, to be fair to him.
Now that he's gone, why is he here? He wasn't here today. Where did he come from?
Here's Laurie now for Altrincham. Challenge comes in from Nicky Boschel, slightly through the back. It's a little bit risky, bearing in mind that Nicky Boschel was was booked, only a minute or two ago. Obviously, we're having a sending off on Tuesday against Dover. Guiseley will be keen to avoid a repeat of that situation. Did not cope well with being down to 10 men at all on Tuesday. Now Michael Rankin for Altrincham, midway inside the Guiseley half, plays a good ball through, looking to find Guiseley, but Hursty's there, does well, gets it away, only as far as Scott Leather though. Dickinson comes back to try and help out. Now Rob Atkinson up against Rankin. Rankin goes for goal. It's a great strike from Michael Rankin. Very little that Dan Atkinson could do about that. Great play from the Altrincham striker. Got the ball out of his feet, smashed it right-footed beyond Dan Atkinson. And with a couple of minutes to go to half-time, Guiseley fall behind. Altrincham 1, Guiseley 0.
Fabulous strike that by Rankin. A lot of power, a lot of speed, just the right height so that it came under the crossbar, fairly central in the goal, so that as Atkinson was falling to make the save, he could no longer reach high enough to palm the ball away. And just as I said it, Chris, got to get to half-time without conceding. Guiseley now have a little bit of a hill to climb in what is going to be an increasingly difficult game to play on this pitch.
Well, I didn't want to bring it up, but you kind of put the jinx on that, didn't you? When we said both ties looking to get in at 0-0. But it was a really good strike from Michael Rankin. Not really the type of strike that Michael Rankin is synonymous with. It's Jordan Sinnott. Now looks to come down this right-hand side for Altrincham. It's vital, really, that Guiseley do not concede a second before the break. But they've got Josh Chinley in. Good save with the feet by Dan Atkinson. Rankin, lovely touch. Back to Rankin again inside the box. Another great save from Dan Atkinson. Denies Michael Rankin a second goal. And Adam Smith now looks to get it forward. The ball takes the deflection. Comes through to Liam Dickinson as Guiseley look to get themselves level before half-time. Here's Danny Lowe. Plays slowed down after a really decent counter-attack, and Jake Lawler's pass is a poor one. As Jordan Sinnott nutmegs Danny Lowe. Well sent forward now by Altrincham. But that was a great spell of play for Dan Atkinson, but not the rest of the Guiseley side.
Yeah, really good attacking play by Altrincham. Deserved maybe to be 2 ahead with the chances they made there. Lots of good interplay in and around the edge of the box. Shots on goal. As you said, the first one was saved with the feet, the trailing legs of Dan Atkinson, and the second one was straight at him, and he had to get 2 strong hands behind it to punch it far enough away that it wasn't straight down into the path of another on-rushing striker.
Well, the ball goes up. We're going to have 2 minutes of additional time. As Michael Rankin looks to give chase. Danny Hall almost caught in possession. Don't mess with it there. And the free kick goes against Rankin. For me, that's very harsh. As Danny Hall is the man that was judged to have been fouled, but
yeah, Danny Hall's played really well so far. Actually, showed a lot of nous, turning strikers away and not going for the long clearance, but getting himself a bit more time on the ball. But on that occasion, just dwelt on it too long, and Rankin has got fire in his belly now after that goal, and he will chase down everything.
Now Haven sends the ball forward. Now Dickinson over to this right-hand side with Adam Smith. Smith looks to knock it round Scott Leather, but just puts too much on it. As Jake Moult comes across to clear away, ricochets off Adam Smith and goes behind. Goes out on this near side for an Altrincham throw.
And this is out of my line of sight, Chris. That's down in the dead spot away to our right that I can't see. I believe you though if you say there was a throw-in.
The ball is back now in the hands of the Altrincham keeper, Tim Deasy. But it's kind of that goal really has taken the wind out of the sails really for this game in general, I think, at this stage. Because, you know, Guiseley, I think for me, we've possibly shaded it in terms of the chances up until that part, or maybe not necessarily the chances, but the play.
Yeah, I mean,
getting the crosses into the box, the opportunities there.
I agree on the creativity in midfield, but certainly Dan Atkinson, even prior to that, had been the busier of the 2 goalkeepers. But that doesn't necessarily mean Guiseley have been playing badly. That just means crosses have gone achingly above heads or just ahead of strikers' boots.
Well, the referee, Mr. Eaton, has blown the half-time whistle here at Moss Lane. Guiseley falling behind just 3 minutes before half-time, thanks to a great strike from Michael Rankin. But half-time here at Moss Lane, Altrincham leading by a goal to nil.
And it's been a good half of football on a difficult pitch in a grey and a rainy day. And I think Guiseley can feel a little bit unfortunate to have gone in behind. I think it's been an even half of football. Equally, I think Altrincham will be feeling quite pleased with how they've acquitted themselves, playing towards their home fans there. You've just drifted off, haven't you, Chris, for a chat with Colin? Welcome back.
How slightly?
It distracted me. I lost my thread. Anyway, we're 1-0 down.
Yeah, and that kind of sums it up as well, because I'll say, do we deserve to be behind? Probably not.
As I say, I think guys will feel a little bit hard done by being behind at this point. But equally, I don't think Altrincham will feel they're undeservedly ahead. It's been a pretty even game, and both teams have had chances. It's a case of whether Guiseley have enough in them to get back into this game from behind. Next goal is absolutely crucial. The pitch is getting harder to play with each passing minute, so I would suspect that a second goal for Altrincham would probably seal the game. If Guiseley can get back into it, then it will be a very unpredictable final part of the game.
Of course, what we are going to have now, though, is a situation where we've got 15 minutes with no players on the pitch. An opportunity for the rain just to fall.
Yeah, well, there's substitutes out there. They're warming up at the moment, and there's a whole crew of ground staff out with forks on the far side of the ground, working that surface, trying to get more of the water drained away. But it will undoubtedly be touch and go, and if the referee at any point does actually start to think the pitch isn't safe, then it could change.
Well, we will be back with you very, very shortly. We're just going to go and pop off and try and grab a quick cuppa somewhere for half-time to try and stay warm on this wet and grey day in Altrincham. Half-time, though, here at Moss Lane is Altrincham 1, Guiseley 0.
Mark, one of those nights, everything that could go wrong probably did in the end.
Yeah, we were poor really to start the game. We started really, really sloppily. Gave the ball away too many times, and we were second to everything. Didn't win any headers. You know, they were picking everything up in midfield and getting in. They deserved the goal when they got it. But you know, they're a top side. You know, they're fifth in the league. The Big Gates had 4-0 on Saturday. They're a very, very good side. So you know you're going to have spells where they're going to be on top, and they were having that. And then obviously the red card happens, and it just really kills the game as a contest. It was, very, very difficult for us after that.
What's your view on the card? Looked controversial from where we were.
Just you see that tackle one week and it's not even a free kick. The next week it's a red card. There's absolutely no consistency there. Seems whenever a Guiseley player puts in a tackle like that, he's sent off, and when it happens to a Guiseley player, the same doesn't happen. So disappointing with that. I thought Will came in, and he came in at speed, but football's played at speed, and if we're going to send players off for tackles like that, for cleanly playing the ball with one leg, just didn't think it were a red card. We'll have to obviously look at it and look to appeal. Maybe Will's just got to think a little bit more. We've seen Gavin Rothery get sent off for next to nothing earlier in the season. You just got to be careful in there. But in the heat of the moment, he went and cleanly won the ball. I can see why he's done it. So we'll look at it and see if we can appeal, because obviously we want Will to be available. It'd be 3 matches if not.
Must have been a very tough half-time team talk, down to 10. Obviously they were on top, quite dominant, but if there's any positive into the second half, we seem to acquit ourselves a little better.
Yeah, regardless of what's happened with referees and conditions and everything like that, they were the better side. And when you're not playing well, which we weren't, you can do the ugly side well, and we didn't do the ugly side. We didn't defend well. We didn't win those second balls. We weren't strong or dominant. We weren't clever in when we cleared the balls and getting up the pitch. We did everything wrong in that first half. So I said to them, it's going to be an uphill battle, but you've got to stay in the game. We'll get a chance. Something will drop for you, and that one chance will come. Make sure that when it does, we're still at 1-0, and I thought they went out and we played better in the second half with 10 men than we did in the first half with 11, to be fair. Had to be brave and get on the ball a little bit, and obviously you're going to come under pressure, but I thought they pulled the fingers out, so to speak, and put in a better performance in the second half. Worked hard, kept going for us. Obviously the scoreline, can never be happy with that, but it was late on when they got the goals, so some positives to take from the second half, but overall it's a bitterly disappointing night, and a lot of the players in that dressing room need to have a look at themselves and improve for Saturday in what really is a massive game for us.
We also lost Ryan Toulson as well, didn't we, early on in that game? What's the first early prognosis for Ryan?
Yeah, just felt something in his hip. I was feeling unwell as well. He started to feel a bit sick, so it was a little bit worrying at one point. So we'll see how he is. Get the lads in on Thursday training, see how they are. Mill Sinclair was carrying a bit of a knock throughout the game as well. So yeah, patch ourselves up, see how everyone is on Thursday. Obviously, with the likes of Adam Smith, Oliver Norburn coming back into contention as well, it gives us the options to change things. And when you see performances like we got today, that's something that we'll look to do. And yeah, we've put in some good performances recently. You're going to have ups and downs in this league. Tonight was a down, and when you're playing one of the top teams in Dover, if you are playing like that, they'll punish you, and they did. So learn the lessons from it. And look to go again on Thursday in training, get ready for the big game at Altrincham Saturday.
And it is a big game, isn't it? It's a real opportunity to start to put some distance between the teams at the bottom.
Definitely, yeah. It's a big game against one of the teams in and around us. So yeah, we'll go in there with confidence, because we've shown in the last few weeks we can match it with. We've not shown it tonight, but we showed it down at Dover. We can match them. We've seen what a good team they are tonight. So to go down there and get the 2 draws we've done this season shows that we've done well there. Obviously a good performance at Woking, wins earlier on in the year as well. So yeah, it's part of football, especially when we're in the position we are in the league. We're going to lose games, and the main and important thing is that we bounce back from it in the right way and look forward to Saturday.
Mark, one of those nights, everything that could go wrong probably did in the end.
Yeah, we were poor really to start the game. We started really, really sloppily. Gave the ball away too many times, and we were second to everything. Didn't win any headers. They were picking everything up in midfield and getting in. They deserved the goal when they got it. But they're a top side. They're 5th in the league. They beat Gateshead 4-0 on Saturday. They're a very, very good side. So you're going to have spells where they're going to be on top, and they were having that. And then obviously the red card happens, and it just really kills the game as a contest. It was very, very difficult for us after that.
What's your view on the card? Looked controversial from where we were.
Just you see that tackle one week, and it's not even a free kick. The next week it's a red card. There's absolutely no consistency there. Seems whenever a Guiseley player puts in a tackle like that, he's sent off, and when it happens to a Guiseley player, the same doesn't happen. So disappointed with that. I thought Will came in, and it came in at speed, but football's played at speed, and if we're going to send players off for tackles like that, for cleanly playing the ball with one leg, just didn't think it were a red card. We'll have to obviously look at it and look to appeal. Maybe Will's just got to think a little bit more. We've seen Gavin Rothery get sent off for next to nothing earlier in the season. You just got to be careful in there. But in the heat of the moment, he went and cleanly won the ball. I can see why he's done it. So we'll look at it and see if we can appeal, because obviously we want Will to be available. It'd be 3 matches if not.
It must have been a very tough half-time team talk down to 10. Obviously they were on top, quite dominant, but if there's any positive into the second half, we seem to acquit ourselves a little better.
Yeah, regardless of what's happened with referees and conditions and everything like that, they were the better side. And when you're not playing well, which we weren't, you can do the ugly side well, and we didn't do the ugly side. We didn't defend well. We didn't win those second balls. We weren't strong or dominant. We weren't clever in when we cleared the balls and getting up the pitch. We did everything wrong in that first half. So I said to them, it's going to be an uphill battle, but you've got to stay in the game. We'll get a chance, something will drop for you, and that one chance will come. Make sure that when it does, we're still at 1-0. And I thought they went out and we played better in the second half with 10 men than we did in the first half with 11, to be fair. had to be brave and get on the ball a little bit, and obviously you're going to come under pressure, but I thought they pulled the fingers out, so to speak, and put in a better performance in the second half. Worked hard, kept going for us. Obviously the scoreline, can never be happy with that, but it was late on when they got the goals. So some positives to take from the second half, but overall it's a bitterly disappointing night, and a lot of the players in that dressing room need to have a look at themselves and improve for Saturday in what really is a massive game for us.
We also lost Ryan Toulson as well, didn't we, early on in that game? What's the first early prognosis for Ryan?
Yeah, just felt something in his hip. I was feeling unwell as well. He started to feel a bit sick, so it was a little bit worrying at one point. So we'll see how he is. Get the lads in on Thursday training, see how they are. Mill Sinclair was carrying a bit of a knock throughout the game as well. So yeah, patch ourselves up, see how everyone is on Thursday. Obviously, with the likes of Adam Smith, Oliver Norburn coming back into contention as well, it gives us the options to change things. And when you see performances like we got today, that's something that we'll look to do. And yeah, we've put in some good performances recently. You're going to have ups and downs in this league. Tonight was a down, and when you're playing one of the top teams in Dover, if you are playing like that, they'll punish you, and they did. So learn the lessons from it. And look to go again on Thursday in training, get ready for the big game at Altrincham Saturday.
And it is a big game, isn't it? It's a real opportunity to start to put some distance between the teams at the bottom.
Definitely, yeah. It's a big game against one of the teams in and around us. So yeah, we'll go in there with confidence, because we've shown in the last few weeks we can match it with. We've not shown it tonight, but we showed it down at Dover. We can match them. We've seen what a good team they are tonight. So to go down there and get the 2 draws we've done this season shows that we've done well there. Obviously a good performance at Woking, wins earlier on in the year as well. So yeah, it's part of football.
Yeah, the old phrase, "It's better than nothing." I think we would have been better off leaving dead air than that, Chris. I can't bear any more of it. I faded it out, and we're going to talk some more. I don't want to listen to any more of that. That's the 3rd time I've had to listen through that. Coffee or no coffee, we need to get talking again.
I'm fairly sure that some people will probably argue that they'd rather have the dead air than us, to be honest.
Well, that's fine. Let's just do that then.
No, we must give the people what they want, or in this case, not give them what they want, which is peace and quiet.
No, I actually know what the people want. A friend got in touch with me this week and said, I work at the same place as Jake Lawler's aunt, and she says...
Is this a claim to fame thing?
She says that Jake Lawler's aunt and Jake Lawler's mum enjoy listening to your commentary. They especially like the bit where you talk about pies. So, if you want to know what the people want, Chris... They want us to go to Kidderminster more often.
I was going to say, if to be fair, if this requires having to travel to Kidderminster more often, I am fully supportive of that. Because what we can talk about here, actually, is the belting chippy across the road.
Yeah.
One of the things that really does... I mean, to be fair, this may sound peculiar, but Altrincham is genuinely one of my favourite away grounds. It's one of my favourite away trips. I really like the stadium.
It's just a shame we lose every time we come, but yeah.
And the chippy across the road is belting.
Yeah, it's a shame. If it wasn't raining, I was quite tempted to cobble together a chip advisor today. Controversially going to the chippy outside the ground rather than getting the chips inside the ground. But there ain't anybody who comes over to Altrincham for the chips inside the ground when there's such a good one across the road.
Award-winning.
Well, so they claim, but as the Altrincham official who let us back out of the ground with our press passes to go over to the chippy earlier said, well, I don't know how wide an area that award was given for. It might just be the best chippy on that parade of shops on Moss Lane.
Well, for me, it could be a Manchester-wide thing, but it is terrific.
No, it is a good one, isn't it? As watching a few familiar faces walking through in front of us. Was that what's his name from off of BT Sport there?
Oh,
no, he was the other one who was doing punditry with Mark Clement and Kevin
Steve Watson.
Stephen Watson, yeah, from off of Panini stickers
like
in the 90s,
Everton,
Newcastle, and from off of the 1990s Panini stickers. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. I thought I recognised him because I saw him.
He's wearing the same jumper he was when he was broadcasting from Nethermore.
You know when you look at somebody, but you're not quite sure if you recognise him. To be fair, he probably thought, why is this guy looking at me?
Yeah.
But that's why, because you're Steve Watson of Everton and Newcastle fame.
Why are these fat, bearded, glasses-wearing fools
who should be talking into microphones just stop staring at me?
I think we've done a great job of filling the half-time show without referencing football. For the record, everybody, when you come here, I don't know the name of the chip shop even, but outside, opposite the ground on Moss Lane, definitely go for cod. That is my advice.
Are we allowed to say it?
Wait, what?
The name of the shipper. I think.
Yeah, sure we are. I just don't know what it is.
I want to say it's something like Catch of the Day or something as typically cliched for a chippy as you can get.
We're allowed to say anything we like on here. The first time we came here under the guise of Guiseley Radio, Guiseley AFC Radio, Danny Ellis broke our swearing duck in that game. He was joining us on punditry that day, and as the fourth goal went in, he introduced all sorts of new syllables that hadn't previously been heard. Do you know what happened? Nothing bad, because it's just us talking on the internet and no one's really listening.
Well, Dave Kendra has messaged us. We can't really read out his message though. He just says, "Come on, Guiseley, just win one."
Just win one.
I'm missing a word there, but
he's clearly been to language classes with Danny Ellis.
Well, the two sets of players, you'll be very pleased to know, are back out in front of us. It will be Guiseley to get us underway in this second half. Emile Sinclair and Danny Boschel stood over this to take the kick-off as Guiseley get us back underway for this second half here at Moss Lane half-time. Altrincham leading by that Michael Rankin goal 3 minutes before the break. Superb right-footed effort it was from the target man for the home side. On what, up until that point, had been a pretty even game, an entertaining game as well. You know, we've got a mixed bag of conditions. The pitch is cutting up like nothing else at this stage. It's been pouring down since 11 o'clock this morning. But actually, everything's had the makings of what's been, for me, quite a good game.
Yeah, it has been.
This guy's in out, look to come forward. Here's Hurst, plays it over to that right-hand side. Finds Liam Dickinson. Dickinson down by the corner flag, being harried and pressed by Josh Ginley. And in the end, Guiseley have got a throw-in out of it.
Slightly confused by the fact that the keeper at that end is still wearing 17. And this must be quite a rare occurrence. It's both keepers today are number 17 in their respective squads.
That would be a rare occurrence. The throw-in is taken. Sorry, I said that too sarcastically. Here's Adam Smith, lifts it across. Altrincham do clear the lines. In all seriousness, that...
For people interested in not very interesting stats, that will be very interesting.
It will. And I would like to bet that hasn't happened this season and will happen again.
What, that anyone's been interested in a non-interesting stat?
No, forget it.
That too.
Let's move swiftly on with Guiseley in possession, but they've given it away poorly inside their own defensive third. And now with Malt. Challenge comes in from Adam Smith. Hurst tracks back, defends, does well, wins possession back for Guiseley before launching it long down the right-hand side. Now Rob Atkinson wins the ball from James Lowry. Referee waves play on. A couple of the home fans and players were appealing for something that wasn't there. The ball now played down that right-hand side. Liam Dickinson does well, gets himself between the ball and Marcus Hornus. Hornus, though, again, defensively wise, doing well there. Puts the ball out of play for a Guiseley throw.
My only worry is that the pitch over there might just serve to nullify what's been Guiseley's best attacking threat, which have been the wide men, Hurst and Smith, and they're both finding it harder with the standing water over there since half-time.
The ball now with Emile Sinclair. Sent back to Smith. Low cross in. It beats first man the turn. Great save from the feet of Tim Deasy to deny Nicky Boschel. He turned really, really well on a sixpence before firing straight at the legs of Tim Deasy, who just managed to throw something in the way of the shot. Really good attacking play there from Guiseley, but a great save from the home goalkeeper.
Great opportunity for Guiseley there, and first real proper save of the game for Tim Deasy. Crucial
really
for Guiseley to hit the ground running in the second half early. As we said before, our next goal is everything. I don't think Guiseley could come from 2-0 down here. If they were to get back to 1-1, though, obviously anything could happen.
Well, Atkinson in possession, gets the ball down the right-hand side, looking for Smith. His ball in field for Sinclair is intercepted, though. Now Altrincham bring possession back with them. Sent long down that left-hand side. Michael Rankin will give chase. Dan Atkinson, a little bit calm and casual, but just waits and gives the ball a chance to get into the area for him to collect it. As Michael Rankin was bearing down on him, that must be a fairly scary sight.
Poor pass upfield there by Guiseley. Sorry, Chris, coming out of the back. Frustrating. What they can't afford to do is give the ball away as they come out of defence.
Altrincham back in possession again. Again, though, it's too long. The ball forward. Now Rob Atkinson. Just give that back to the Guiseley goalkeeper. Dan Atkinson sends it downfield. Sinclair wins his header, gets the flick on. Ahead of Gianluca Haven. The ball is cleared away by Altrincham. Mark Ballett just gives the ball to Danny Lowe. He takes the throw in quickly. Now Danny Boschel.
What's happening with Luca Haven's hair today, Chris? He looks like Ray Reardon or one of the aliens from Babylon 5.
You have completely lost me with these references, mate. I'm not even going to lie and pretend to know.
It's a very strange shape. It's like he's
got a very short
bob.
Yeah, / ponytail. He's gone for the Zlatan look, basically.
Do you think? Oh, is it a bun on the back?
There's a small bun on. This is ridiculous. What have we turned into?
It's just from having me here.
Emil Sinclair now looks to skip away from two. Almost pulled back by Josh O'Keefe. Still, Sinclair gets the ball over to Hurst on the edge of the 18-yard box. Cross comes in towards the back post. Hooked away by Jordan Sinnott. For what it's worth, I think Gianluca Haven, from his footballing skills, is a very accomplished centre-half. I've always been impressed whenever I've seen him over the last few seasons. As Rob Atkinson gets the ball forward, Liam Dickinson wins the head. The ball drops to Boschel. Now Sinclair just caught in possession by Ginley. Much the frustration of the Guiseley fans. And now Ginley looks to come forward. Here's Laurie. Plays the ball over to the right-hand side. Here's Rankin. About 20 yards out, goes down. He was looking for that, but the referee's bought it and gives the free kick.
Yeah, it's a shame because that came at the end of a passage. A really good play, actually, by Guiseley around the edge of the Altrincham area, making themselves a couple of opportunities. But Altrincham came out really well on the break, and this is a very, very dangerous free kick for Guiseley. The ball about 10 yards from the edge of the box. It's at a good angle. If they had a left-footed free kick taker to have a go at shooting. Instead, I think it's going to be Jordan Sinnott again with his right foot, and he's probably going to be trying to curl it onto an Altrincham head, I think.
It's not entirely impossible, I think, for a right foot from this angle. I think Liam Dickinson, for example, would have a go at putting it into that top right-hand corner. But let's see what Jordan Sinnott can do with this free kick for Altrincham. He goes for goal, but straight at Dan Atkinson, who parries it down to the ground and catches it on the second attempt.
Yeah, he did exactly what you said, Chris. He went for the near post. It was fairly well over in that direction, but comfortable enough for Atkinson to get behind, and just sort of patted it down to his feet and then fell onto the ball. A little bit unconventional, but didn't give any striker a chance to close in on it.
Here's Danny Hall. Gets the ball forward. Liam Dickinson having his shirt pulled there. Zeno Sinclair maintains possession for Guiseley. Good play. Gets the ball over onto that right-hand side. The cross comes in. Not the best. And then Holness scuffs it. Trickles back towards the goal line. But the goalkeeper gets hold of it.
Opportunities again for the Lions. They have looked a lot brighter since half-time in the final third of the pitch. The surface is getting harder to play. There's one or two areas that are very, very cut up now. I do feel sorry for whoever's got to put this turf back together next week.
Now Altrincham come down the left-hand side. The cross comes in. Diallo gets a foot onto it. Only cleared as far as Jake Moult, though. Now Sinnott pressing forward. Ball played down this right-hand side. Here's Crowther. Cross is blocked. Comes back as far as Sinnott. Sinnott delivers a low one, left-footed. Away by Danny Hall. Now Emil Sinclair. The home fans starting to get a little bit of anxiousness and frustration when Altringham's attacks fail.
Dickinson taken down late off of the ball there. Referee played advantage.
Now the ball with Hurst. Just inside the Altrincham half. Over with the edge of the centre circle. Plays the ball forward looking to find Dickinson. Haven does well, comes across, puts it out. I think an interesting name for me on the Guiseley substitutes bench, perhaps for this game, depending on how fit he is Oliver Norburn. Been out for a little while with an injury. But I'm just thinking back to the Eastleigh game that he scored that absolute beauty in, and that was on a very wet, soggy afternoon. As a cross comes in now from James Hurst, headed away by Altrincham.
Yeah, he's a possible something out of nothing player, isn't he, Norburn? It's not high odds of scoring a goal like that every game, but he's an option there if he's fit enough to make an appearance later in the game. I mean, Boys, Rothery, Dudley, and Ben Parker, they're all great attacking options to have. Any one of those you could argue should be in the starting 11, and so Mark does have plenty of ways he can adjust this. At the moment the team seems to be playing quite well, and it'd be hard to know what to change, but you can't just sit and do nothing indefinitely when you're 1-0 down. I suspect in the next 10 or 15 minutes he will have to start to think about rolling the dice and trying a different option.
Especially if it does carry on with the home side leading by a goal to nil. The goal from Michael Rankin on 42 minutes. Excellent right-footed strike from distance. But a free kick now for Guiseley. 55 minutes played. Diallo delivers it. Curled cross into the box. It drops. Altrincham only half clear. Now Adam Smith from the 18-yard box on the right side. The ball comes back across. And Rob Atkinson nods it home. Rob Atkinson, the man at the back post in the right place at the right time as the ball came across. And there he was, the big centre half, to nod it beyond Deasy. Altrincham 1, Guiseley 1.
Perfect timing for an equaliser for the Lions. Just as we were saying, they've been playing better since half-time, making good chances, and they needed to capitalise to get a just reward for their efforts. Really good cross again from Adam Smith. He was inside the area when he delivered it, dropped it onto the back post. Very difficult to defend a ball that's coming down at head height right on the goal line, inside the edge of the goal. Rob Atkinson was strong enough to tap it home and nod it home even. 1-1.
Well, it was far from pretty, but it doesn't really matter. We don't care. The important thing is that Guiseley are back level. The cross was great from Adam Smith. But it really was scrambling to get his head onto it from just a couple of yards out.
I'll take that. He attacks the ball well from across, does Rob Atkinson. He's always a danger from corners.
Speaking of danger, Altrincham looks to come forward. That's a really good ball. Just misses the head of Josh O'Keefe as the cross came in on this right-hand side from Ryan Crowther. Guiseley switched off for a minute, allowed the cross to come in. Josh O'Keefe threw himself at it.
Massive let-off that, Chris. They're fast asleep at the back after the goal. This is the most vulnerable time. They need everybody back in there now to try and see this clear.
It's a really high corner comes in. Nodded away. Diallo will bring it out of the 18-yard box. Finds Emil Sinclair. Sinclair turns. He can't get to the ball. He's blocked off, but the referee allows play to continue with Altrincham in possession. Sinclair continues chasing and pressing. Guiseley not pushing out at the moment. Sitting a little bit too deep. Very little space between the midfield four and the defensive back four for Guiseley at the moment. As Altrincham have possession. Now Laurie. Back now to Jake Moult. He finds Jordan Sin at 20 yards out. Plays the ball to Crowther on this right hand side. Does well, gets around Diallo, does well, gets around another one, looks to pull the ball across, and in the end Dan Atkinson had come off his line, and he was the last line of defence there. If Crowther could have squared it, there was an open goal, but Atkinson was confident, put the pressure on, concedes the corner kick.
Oh, guys, the defending, as you say, Chris, very deep throughout that move. Liam Dickinson was inside his own area for most of that play. Corner now for Altrincham. Can they snatch back the initiative?
Well, the cross comes in from the corner. Headed away by Danny Boschel. Oliver Norburn just returns to his seat after going for a warm-up, as does Adam Boyes. In fact, it's Adam Boyes who's taking his jacket off as the corner of the cross comes in, from Altrincham. Nicky Boschel now, can he get rid? He does do so. It is Adam Boyes who's getting stripped off and ready to come on as Emil Sinclair gives Marcus Hornus a chase. Deasy clears it forward. Headed away well by Danny Hull, but nobody in the yellow shirt to get on the end of that one. As Scott Leather now brings it forward for the home side over the halfway line. Now O'Keefe. Now Ginley turns, gets a good ball in. And Dan Atkinson.
No pressure on the ball there at all, Chris. Ginley
Was there?
allowed to run through and pick his time to choose a ball into the box. Need to close down better than that.
Altrincham still in possession. Guiseley get it back though. Through Smith. In the centre circle. Plays some nice play. Links up with Sinclair. Here's Lowe. I think it's going to be Liam Dickinson. I think will be the man to come off. But here is Liam Dickinson. Goes down. Looks at the referee. Referee gives nothing. There's two red and white shirts around him as he went down. But to be fair to him, he got back up relatively quickly after that. And play continues with Altrincham now coming down the left-hand side. We've played bang on the hour mark. Here's Ginley. Turns back. Now Leather. Turns, lifts it, right-footed into Rankin. Good touch and turn. Gets away from Atkinson. Eventually gets the shot off. Narrow angle though. Straight into the hands of Dan Atkinson.
I think you're right, Chris. I think it will be Liam Dickinson coming off for the next opportunity for Adam Boyes. He's been quite quiet for passages of the game. He looks a little bit out of puff at the moment, does Liam, as he gets beaten in the air by Luca Haven.
I think it will be a fair change to make at this stage. Bringing on somebody like Adam Boyes with the work rate he's got. And it is going to be Adam Boyes who's going to come on with half an hour to go.
And just as that's happening, Chris, I'll catch you up on the scores around the grounds. And I've just clicked off of it as I say that. It's 1-0 to Torquay away at Boreham Wood. Bromley now 2-1 up at home to Woking. Still 0-0 between Forest Green and Eastleigh. Of course, we see Forest Green and Nethermore soon. Gateshead now 3-2 up against Aldershot at home. Remember, they were 1-0 down to the visitors, Aldershot, in that game. Halifax still 3-0 up against Grimsby. Goodness knows how that's happened at the Shea. Kidderminster still 2-0 up against Chester. Lincoln now 2-0 up at home to Southport. Cheltenham still 1-0 up away to Tranmere. And Wrexham 2-0 up away to Welling.
Well, there's a couple of important scores. In particular, Boreham Wood losing against Torquay. That, if I'm right in thinking, really would tighten things up quite substantially at the bottom end of the Vanarama National League.
Yeah, the one you wouldn't expect there, as I keep saying, is the Halifax one. Certainly Grimsby, you would think, would be the stronger team there, but they're being soundly beaten at the moment.
As the ball drops in the Altrincham 18-yard box, shot on the snapshot from Jake Lawler is blocked. And now Altrincham look to press out. But the ball over this right-hand side is a poor one. It's met by moans and groans from the home support.
The pitch caused a complete misfire there by James Lowry, and then almost straight after, was that Danny Boschel or Danny Lowe?
It was Danny Lowe, who almost gave a few people around us a heart attack.
But it shows that the surface is getting more challenging to play passing football on, as Tim Deasy nearly played himself into all sorts of trouble there. He's not used to playing against Adam Boyes. I don't know if you saw that, Chris. That was very nearly a Guiseley goal in the making. Deasy was outside of his area when he took the ball. He'd had to turn with his arms inside the area to clutch it, while the rest of his body was out in the D. Complete hash there.
Ball sent forward now by Altrincham. That just goes through the Guiseley penalty area and behind for a goal kick. What have we got? So we've got 63 on the clock.
Of course, Adam Boys isn't going to let defenders or goalkeepers have as much time on the ball as Liam Dickinson. Very different strengths, those two players. Adam's not going to win as much in the air. But he is going to chase and he's going to harry. And if there's opportunities of causing a slide or a slip or a mistake like that, then you'd think Adam would be the man to try and make that happen for Guiseley.
Well, guys, they've got themselves a free kick. It's Jake Moult who conceded the free kick. It's to the left, just about 10 yards or so inside the Altrincham half. It's been taken short by Danny Lowe. Plays the 1-2 with Danny Hall. It's now back with Lowe down on his left-hand side, slightly obscured by the view of the community centre here at Moss Lane. Support has arrived and the referee's given something in Altringham's favour. I'm going to hazard a guess at a throw.
Danny Hall had obviously seen something he really wanted to try there, an opportunity to sneak down the left and get the cross in from a lot closer to the byline. Didn't quite come off. And the tall players of Guiseley retreating back into formation now gradually.
Well, the referee is just telling
someone.
I think it'll be Jordan Sinnott.
Someone
right
behind that wall over there has
Jordan
presumably
Sinnott.
stolen a number of yards. We couldn't see them before or after.
Now Danny Boschel picks up the ball from James Hurst. Back to Hurst now. Switches it across this left-hand side. Great ball and a great touch as well from Danny Lowe. He turns, gets across right-footed over to that far side of the 18-yard box. Nodded away by Altrincham. James Hurst does well. Shields it as the ball goes out of play for a Guiseley throw. But it's been given away from the throw-in. Altrincham still in possession though, being pressed well by Guiseley. The Lions aren't making it easy for Altrincham to get this out of trouble, but a good back heel there finds James Lorry. Now for Altrincham, much longer ball forward from Leather. Now Rob Atkinson does well, intercepts the loose ball. This ball forward. Only Danny Hall at that moment, the only Guiseley outfield player inside the Guiseley half.
And a very, very dicey clearance by Dan Atkinson along the ground, straight to an Altrincham player, mopped up by the midfield.
I'm going to blame the fact that we've got such a great surface as Emil Sinclair goes through, but he's offside. Going to blame the dodgy surface, I think, for Dan Atkinson's poor clearance there. That and the fact that we are used to Stephen Drench distribution, who is, second to none, I think, when it comes to his clearance ability, with the exception of Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, we've just seen why the current version of the offside rule is so ridiculous. There's a player, Emil Simpson, who's clearly...
Sinclair,
Heskey, whatever. He was clearly about 10 or 15 yards offside. And everyone in the ground thinks the linesman must have missed it because he's not flagged. And of course we have to wait the extra 5 or 6 seconds for everybody to scramble back and Sinclair to get his first touch, for then him to count as active and involved enough for the linesman to stick up the flag and drag us all back. It's really, really silly when everyone in the ground can see he's miles offside.
And Emil Sinclair thinks he's just getting lucky because he goes scampering after it.
Yeah, complete waste of effort.
So free kick now for Altrincham. It's a poor one. Gets to Danny Boschel, who clears that away at the first attempt. Sent back in towards the edge of the 18-yard box, though, by Altrincham. Now Boys finds Adam Smith. He clears it first time. Guiseley have got themselves a throw-in. Just inside their own half, which James Hurst is going to be the man to take. We've got 67 gone here at Moss Lane, Altrincham. Altrincham 1, Guiseley 1. Rob Atkinson equalising on 52 after Michael Rankin had put the home side ahead. Good ball forward from Nicky Boschel. Looks to find Danny Lowe. Defender comes across. I think that's gone out of play, and it has, for a Guiseley throw-in. Not that we can see it. Now Sinclair, good touch. Back now to Danny Boschel. Now Lawler. Plays the 1-2 with Danny Lowe. But now with Danny Hall. On the halfway line. He opts to go back to Dan Atkinson, which was met by ironic cheers from the home supporters and a little bit of disappointment from the Guiseley fans, because everybody bar Rob Atkinson was in the final third. But now Altrincham can look to come forward. O'Keefe moves out. Laurie, though, picks up a loose ball. Plays a good one out that left-hand side. Here's Guiseley. Guiseley gets the cross in. Down low, up in the air. O'Keefe again looks to knock it down to that right-hand side. Shot comes in from rather wide of the upright. Wasn't a bad effort in the end, I think, from the referee.
Well, there are Altrincham fans behind the goal, and I think they've been given this decision in the end. Are absolutely certain that was deflected, and in fact it is an Altrincham corner. And it gives them a chance to make a substitution. And here's an interesting change, Chris. A familiar name.
Damien Reeves is the man who's going to come on. He's got 21 minutes for him to make an impact in this game from Altrincham's perspective. It's the last thing we want to see, because he's a notorious goal scorer. So Ryan Crowther, the man going off. As the corner comes in, goes over the top of the Guiseley crossbar via a Guiseley man. So it's another corner for the home side.
Dangerous times for Guiseley. As I say, Damien Reeves a very familiar face. And he's scored once or twice against us before.
As the corner comes in again, Atkinson just gets something on it to get it out of the 18-yard box. And now James Hurst on the left-hand side sends it downfield, but there's nobody there. Emil Sinclair does chase and tries to press eventually. At the moment, it's just Altrincham with the tails up. Nicky Boschel concedes a free kick for a foul on Michael Rankin. Looked a little bit daft. He put his arms out. He knew what he'd done. Again, of course, you know, the only man on a yellow card so far.
Yeah, he's got to be careful. He's had a couple of fouls since he originally went into the book. It wasn't a bad time to commit one, though, in general. Altrincham have been in the ascendancy. There's been some scrappy play by Guiseley, struggling to play out from the back, and their clearances have been going straight to home players in the last few minutes.
Free kick taken by Sinnott. Finds Rankin. Rankin knocks it behind. Ball comes low into 6-yard box, held by Dan Atkinson. 71 gone. So you look at the bench. Gavin Rothery, Anthony Dudley, Oliver Norburn, all attacking options. Ben Parker is on there as well. Dan Atkinson now sends it downfield, looking to find Emil Sinclair. He just stands his ground and the ball drops nicely for Boschel. Boschel looked to play it through to Adam Boys, but was cut out well. But Guiseley have a throw in just inside the Altrincham half. Now Jake Lawler lifts it forward. Looks to get it through to Sinclair. It does drop to Sinclair. Sinclair in the 18-yard box. The flag goes up against him. Didn't see a great deal in that. But apparently the man on the far side did. Your take on that, Nick Keefe?
No, it's hard to tell at this angle. I mean, Colin's absolutely sure sat in front of us that was the wrong call. I think I was just slightly wrongly placed with pillars and floodlights here, to be absolutely sure.
So, got a free kick following the offside, which Deasy takes downfield, only meets the head of Jake Lawler. Gianluca Haven almost completely misses that. Now Sinnott in field to Jake Moult. Moult looking to find Rankin. Cut out well though by Danny Boschel. Clearance from Danny Hull. Strikes Danny Bosch and then drops to an Altrincham man, but the Lions have got possession back as Hurst switches it over with a great diagonal ball on this left-hand side, just too much on it. Danny Hall gives up on it. Nicky Bosch gives it a little bit more chase, but the ball is back with Deasy, who clears it. Now Sinclair for Guiseley inside the Altrincham half. Now Danny Boschel, who for me would probably be your next bet for the next man taken off. Very rarely seems to play a full 90 minutes nowadays. As Marcus Honest does well, gets himself between the ball and Nicky Boschel. And it's a goal kick for the home side. But we've played 73 minutes. If you were Mark Powernick.
Yeah, I was going to say, I confess I'm quite glad I'm not Mark at this point. Do you stick or twist? It's 1-1.
I was about to use that exact analogy.
Yeah, it's 1-1. Guiseley haven't had as much of the ball. They've struggled a little bit going forward since the change of striker. They're struggling to make the ball stick going forward, but they have defended well. And at the moment, the game's very much in the balance. Sinclair's through past the defenders here.
Yeah, he's run to the right-hand side of the 18-yard box. His cross is a poor one. Cuts out well by and easily by Gianluca Haven. So Altrincham back in possession now. Sent long, downfield. Dan Atkinson thought about coming, then backtracks. And the ball goes behind for a goal kick.
I think my next change probably would be Sinclair to make way. And then the tricky decision is, do you bring on Anthony Dudley, who might make something out of nothing, and stick with two strikers? Do you bring on another midfielder like Norburn and play three in midfield as a stronger shield in front of the back four? Do you bring on someone like Gavin Rothery, who gives you the best of both worlds and can sit in behind Adam Boyes? I mean, there's still Ben Parker there as well.
Personally, I'd go Dudley for Sinclair and Norburn for Danny Boschel.
You'd make all three changes.
That's just me. Although perhaps Nicky Boschel with that booking. Well, that could be the case, actually. You could probably take off Nicky Boschel and bring on Dudley and put Dudley on the wing.
Well, the decision is about to be taken out of our hands, Chris. Actually, it is Gavin
Rothery
Rothery who's coming on.
What do we know? As the ball drops inside the guy's 18-yard box, Altrincham with a really great chance, but it's come back out to this right-hand side. And eventually, Nicky Boschel swings a leg at it and gets it away. You would think, with it being Rothery coming on next, Nicky Boschel would be the man to go off. Shot comes in from Sinnott, blocked. Only drops as far as O'Keefe. O'Keefe goes for goal. Bounces just in front of Dan Atkinson, who didn't get everything on it at the first attempt, but then pounces on it at the second. We are going to see that change fairly soon. Dan Atkinson, though, in the meantime, gets it downfield. Boyes loses out in the air to Holness. Now Lawler plays a great ball through on that right side, and the Boyes has to go sliding in to try and get possession back, though. Sinclair around the outside. Does it drop for Boyes? It doesn't. It's scrappy stuff, isn't it? It's end-to-end, though.
Oh, it's slithery and it's slidey and it's muddy and anything could happen. All the players struggling to stay on their feet.
Whenever the ball drops in either of the 6-yard boxes, it's just a mass of players slipping and sliding, trying to get something on it. As Danny Lowe has been chased by Josh Ginley. Clears it downfield. It takes a ricochet off the Altrincham winger behind for a goal kick, and the change is going to be made. It is Nicky Boschel who's going to come off.
So straight swap on the left wing there for Guiseley. Fresh pair of legs in the form of Gavin Rothery. As you said, Chris, Nicky Boschel on that booking from the first half. Hasn't been in the team a great deal recently either.
I think overall he'll be relatively pleased with his afternoon's work.
Yeah, I think he's played well. I think he's been involved in a good amount of what's happened down the left flank for Guiseley. And he is a little bit unpredictable as a player. He can make things happen. As we watch Sinclair chase down towards the corner flag. And out of our view in front of the new building.
Sinclair now plays the low ball in, cut out and cleared away. And now Rankin will try and give chase on Rob Atkinson. Atkinson does just enough to keep it in play. The attendance, by the way, for this afternoon's game, 1,137. I reckon there's probably a good 80 to 100 or so Guiseley fans that have made the trip across.
Yeah.
Now the ball with Smith. he's been quiet in the second half. I think what you said at the start of the second half about that right-hand side, the creativeness we had has dropped off on that right-hand side, perhaps due to the pitch, but the ball now at the feet of Smith. He plays it to Hurst. Hurst lifts it up into the box. Boys looks at his head on it, drops at his feet. Look to play it across to Lawler. And it's been cleared away by Altrincham, but the pressure still on as Smith drops another one to the edge of the 6-yard box. Away by Altrincham as they put a foot through it and just tried to get rid. But now Altrincham can try and come forward down that left-hand side. Ball looking to find Rankin over here and through for a goal kick.
Gosh, that was a very, very poor ball. He had a choice of Rankin to his right or Reeves to his left, and he's just toe poked it straight ahead and out of play. Fascinating news coming from the home of the Pies, Chris. Chester have come back from 2-0 down. That's 2-2 now against away to Kidderminster. And that's probably a good result for us, isn't it?
I think it probably is. With Ginelli now coming down the right-hand side. Two guys the players come across. One of them is Danny Lowe. The cross doesn't make it. And the ball that came in with the offside flag is up against Damien Reeves. It was Damien Reeves who was looking to pounce at the near post. Very nearly did so as well. He got the ball ahead of Dan Atkinson, but the flag's gone up against him.
It was a good sharp run by Reeves, wasn't it? And he beat the keeper to the ball at the near post. Very, very close to being able to attempt to tap in. As you say, he'd just gone a teeny bit early. Maybe that's how come he'd got there so soon.
Now Ginelli back to Sinnott. First time ball forward, looking for Reeves, who challenged in the air with Hall. As it is, it misses both of them. Runs through to Dan Atkinson. He clears it downfield, looking to find Sinclair. Now Lawler lifts it forward. Good ball in towards Boys, but Holness does enough. Adam Boys doesn't give up though. Chases. And the clearance from Deasy ricochets off Adam Boys. And behind for a goal kick.
This is the thing with Boys closing down the defenders and the goalkeeper there. It does introduce a completely different hazard for the Altrincham backline. And they're just not getting any time on the ball now to get clear. They want the time to bring it under control and find a man. And Adam Boys isn't giving them that at the moment.
Yeah, let's hope it stays like that. We can't afford really this situation to give them too much time to be able to try and pick out a pass.
With that being said, Damien Reeves, obviously fresh pair of legs at the other end, is keeping Rob Atkinson and Danny Hall on their heels or toes or whichever way around it is as well. Not giving them any time anyway.
Just 8.5 plus any additional time to go here at Moss Lane.
As I say, exactly then, James Hurst caught in possession quite badly there by James Lowry. Very fortunate to get away with a throw-in.
Well, the throw-in has been taken. Played down to Leather. Delivers it, right-footed. Good work from Atkinson to half clear that away. And furthermore from A.O. Sinclair, who was tracking back and helping out. The ball now with Holness inside the Altrincham half. He just sends a long one up towards Rankin. You kind of feel that maybe fairly shortly. The plan from Altrincham, get the ball up to Rankin, get him to get the flick-ons where Damien Reeves can cause problems.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how much each team goes for all 3 points in the last 7 minutes of this game.
Well, let's be honest, a point doesn't help anybody, particularly more so us, very much less so for Altrincham in their current situation with the way results have gone or going elsewhere. Now Hurst.
Well, if this game's a 6-pointer, do we get 2 for a draw?
As Altrincham now looks to break through, and here is Damien Reeves into the 18-yard box, squares it to Rankin, who hits the crossbar from 7 yards out with an open goal. Michael Rankin has smashed the underside of the crossbar and it's come back out.
Well, I've just seen one of the all-time astonishing open goal misses. I actually thought Damien Reeves was going, he was one-on-one with Dan Atkinson, and I thought he was going to go through and try and finish that himself. He selflessly squared to Rankin, who was unmarked inside the 6-yard box, with Atkinson on the floor at the feet of Reeves, and Rankin thundered it against the underside of the crossbar, and it bounced out and away from goal. And the groans in this ground, well, they were something to hear as Guiseley make their final change of the game.
Well, it's a welcome return to action for Oliver Norburn, and he is replacing Adam Smith. So trying to work out how that's going to change things positionally.
Well, there's a lot of different things you could do. Norburn's telling Hurst to get a move on and come off the pitch. Hurst is Smith was sauntering off. We're not winning. We're not defending a lead. Come on, we can still get this. And Norburn on.
Let's just see where he runs to and hope for the best.
Well, I don't know. I think might be tempted to play a midfield 3. If not, and in fact,
Boyce has gone to the right.
What's actually happening is Norburn is coming on behind Sinclair up front by himself, and as you say, Chris, Boyce taking up position on the right flank. I think that's probably sensible, not to disrupt the defence and the 2-man defensive midfield shield that's worked for most of the game quite well. As we see Danny Boschel caked in mud, playing the ball across to Hurst at right back.
Well, here is James Hurst. Gets it forward, looking to find Sinclair. Defended well, though, by Altrincham. Now Laurie giving chase on James Hurst, who is forced to put the ball out for a throw.
Talking about players who were suspiciously unmuddy as we were in the first half, Danny Hall looks like he might have just stepped straight out of a shower as well. That's impressive for a centre-back.
Now Rankin for Altrincham, after his first goal, goes for second and unleashes a strike which is much more synonymous with Michael Rankin as he clears the stadium.
Cruel. He bullied the Guiseley man. I didn't see who it was. He bullied the Guiseley man out of his path and unleashed the shot. It's just landing now, I think.
So the ball now at the feet of Dan Atkinson as he sends it downfield over this left-hand side, but it's gone straight out of play. Disappointing clearance. Sinnott will take the throw in on halfway, steals a few yards in the process, up towards Rankin. Yellow bodies go flying in all over the place. Guiseley do eventually clear it. Sinnott, though, picks up that loose ball, stray pass. And Sinnott again delivers this one, left-footed towards back post. It's a really good cross that comes in. Laurie was trying to throw himself at it, but he didn't get anything on it, and it goes behind for a goal kick.
Oh, it's a lovely, savvy piece of defending, actually, by James Hurst there. Chose not to head it and trusted his strength that he wouldn't be shoved by the oncoming Altrincham player, and so was able to just let it pass him rather than taking a nervous header and conceding a corner in the process. Really smart play.
Well, Atkinson's clearance from the goal kick goes on that far side.
Did you say Ron Atkinson?
Dan Atkinson. Dan.
I'm sure you said Ron. Are you getting Rob and Dan mixed up?
Throwing taken out by Guiseley. Now Emil Sinclair will look to try and get possession back, but Leather does well for the home side. The ball now at the feet of Rankin as Altrincham look to try and launch an attack as Damien Reeves gets in behind Rob Atkinson. Dan Atkinson does well and comes and collects it, and he had to be quick off his line there, didn't he, to get that.
He had to time that absolutely right. Damien Reeves would have been the first man to it, otherwise really dangerous ball through the ground. On the ground, sorry.
Well, Guiseley back in possession. Norburn looking to find Boyce. He couldn't thread the ball across to Gavin Rothery.
Time is ticking out in this game. Would make it 2 minutes of regular time left.
Throwing now for Altrincham midway inside the Guiseley half.
You know what I didn't want when we came here today, Chris, was a tense finish and a final minute injury time defeat.
Oh,
That was my worst case scenario after that playoff final.
Well, the ball played forward. Now Haven has to deal with it because he's being chased by Sinclair, but it's good defensive work from Marcus Horner just to nod that back to the goalkeeper. As I say, we are in a situation where the 3 points is a lot more important for Altrincham than it would be for Guiseley. There's been a miscommunication there between Sinnott and Haven. Almost allows Gavin Rothery to sweep in. Now Hall. The ball back now at the feet of Dan Atkinson, who takes a touch under pressure from Damien Reeves. His clearance isn't a great one, but it does find Jake Lawler. Now Lawler sends it down this left-hand side, finds Daniel Lowe, keeps it in play, looks to turn inside of Sinnott. Now Rothery. Back to Lowe. Daniel Lowe delivers the cross into the 6-yard box, and it almost turned, well, it was turned goal-bound. More pace on that, and it would have been a definite own goal, but Deasy was aware of it.
Oh,
it was a good ball from Lowe, wasn't it?
Very nearly an own goal.
It just needed more pace. It did.
It's a very difficult area to defend. It's the so-called corridor of uncertainty, isn't it? And he must have thought he was going to turn that behind or over the bar, otherwise he wouldn't have gone for it. But make no mistake, that was going in his own goal.
It's a good job Tim Deasy was aware to spare his blushes. We're going to see 3 minutes when the board does go up. Throw in though for Altrincham, which Sinnott takes. Altrincham man goes down. It's Josh Ginelli. The 3 minutes on the board does go up. Three minutes to see this game out and to take away a point from Moss Lane.
Well, at least the whole season doesn't hinge on this. But I still didn't want to be scores level in going into injury time.
Hurst nods it forward. Ball picked up though by Altrincham. On the halfway line, brought forward by Molt. Now on that left-hand side. Ball comes infield. It's Laurie who's looking to cause a couple of problems.
Oh, it's torture.
The home side win the throw. 90 minutes are up. Almost a minute into that additional time.
Social media man Nick Sharp has found the tension too much. He's up on his feet now.
Cross comes in now from Altrincham. Headed away by Rob Atkinson. Now Norburn. Back to Hurst. Look to get down the line. Does stay in play. And goes out of play for an Altrincham man for a Guiseley throw.
Well, we've got 100 seconds. So we either need one fairly slow move that ends in a goal or an even slower move that ends in the corner flag.
Well, it's just been given away a little bit weakly there by Gavin Rothery. And Altrincham now can come forward again as they go in search of one final attack or one final opportunity for them to steal all the points. Now Lowe sends it forward. Not entirely sure whether he was looking for a free kick, I think, has been given. Either that or nobody's in a hurry to take this throw in. Michael Rankin's been given the home supporters man of the match. If you were to pick a Guiseley man of the match, who would you go for, Nick?
I don't think anyone's played badly, to be honest, Chris. I think the defence has been very solid. Danny Boschel has really mucked in midfield, as evidenced by the fact that there's almost nothing yellow about his kit left as we approach the end of the game. I think he's had a very good game. Danny Lowe's been very good as well, I think, at left back.
So, to pick a name,
I think I'd go with Danny Lowe. I don't think he's done anything wrong all game. Honestly, it's been a good team performance, just lacking the goals. And doesn't that sound familiar?
Well, Guiseley have got themselves a throw with what I make as 10 seconds left to go. Daniel Lowe sends it back to Hall. Hall will just loft this one in towards the area. Emil Sinclair misses his header. Comes now to Boschel. Boschel to Lowe down his left-hand side. Still, Guiseley press forward. They've got themselves a throw.
Yeah,
into the last chance saloon.
One last long throw right down by the corner flag. Everybody up into the box bar. James Hurst and Dan Atkinson for Guiseley. Is it a corner, in fact?
May have gone for a corner. One last chance. Well, there's something that the referee is going to deal with. We cannot see a thing now.
No.
The referee has gone down towards that corner. I'm not entirely sure which it is. Certainly seems to be a corner by everybody being in the Altrincham 18-yard box. Well, the referee seems to have sorted whatever it was. And they're going to go short. And that's what it seems. Well, the ball is played into the area. Comes back as far as Lawler. Shot comes in. It's blocked by Altrincham. And there we go. The referee blows the full-time whistle here at Moss Lane. It's been an entertaining, if not scrappy affair at times, but the Lions take another point on the road in their quest for survival. Full-time here at Altrincham. Altrincham 1, Guiseley 1.
Well, I think a fair result on balance. Both teams will go away feeling like they had the opportunities to try and win the game. And one of the other good performances that I really didn't want to mention until the game was over has been the young keeper Dan Atkinson. He's done everything that was expected of him today, and in general played very well and shown a lot of promise for the future, and even shown the guiding hand of Stephen Drench in a few of his passes and pieces of distribution during the game. Altrincham will feel like they should have capitalised on that 1-0 lead and that they let the game get away from them after half-time. They will feel that the game was there to be taken and that they should have taken a 2-goal lead. And that would have seen it very hard for Guiseley to get back into this. I think at this stage of the season, Chris, that if you come on a really difficult surface like this and muck in for, in a fairly literal sense, for what has been a real gritty performance and hard working performance by both teams. If you come away not having let one of your fellow relegation candidates catch up on you in the league, not having lost ground on one of the teams that are around you, then that can't be considered a bad result. And on the whole, I think a point on the road today is perfectly good.
Absolutely. Speaking of hard working, Nick, I think the groundsman's got a hell of a job on to get this pitch back into some form of playable state for their next game.
Yeah, they're going to need more time than they've got, I think, to get that ready. Well done to the referee, though, Mr. Eaton, who we weren't sure whether he'd made the right decision to go ahead with the game, but actually it wasn't unsafe. It was challenging, and it was slippery, and it was mucky, and it was muddy, but it was okay for a perfectly decent old-fashioned game of football. And thank you to Altrincham for hosting us, and sorry we've left you in such a mess.
Well, we'll go through the full-time and latest scores from around the grounds. Altrincham 1, Guiseley 1, Bournemouth 0, Torquay United 1, Bromley 2, Woking 1, Forest Green 2, Eastleigh 1, Gateshead 3, Aldershot 2, Halifax 4, Grimsby 2, Kidderminster 2, Chester 2, Lincoln City 3, Southport 1, Tranmere 0, Cheltenham Town 1, and Welling 0, Wrexham 2. A quick look at the live league table. As things are, it shows Torquay, after succumbing that 2-goal lead, will go bottom on 23 points. Then Kidderminster on 24, Welling on 26, and Boreham Wood make up the final place in the bottom 4 on 32 points. Then come Halifax on 33 from 32 games, Altrincham on 34 from 33 games, then Barrow on 38, and Guiseley sitting in 17th on 38 points. Just to look a little bit above that, Southport on 39, Chester on 39, and Bromley on 41. So as things are, the Lions just the 3 points away from 14th place in the league. Don't forget that Guiseley are at home on Tuesday night. They welcome league leaders Forest Green Rovers to Nethermore, weather depending, of course. So we'll be there for that game on Tuesday night. I hope you can join us for that one. Thanks for listening this afternoon. Full time here from Moss Lane, Altrincham, though. The Lions take a point as it finishes Altrincham 1, Guiseley 1.